He's my son and I love him, but I also love them too. Marlin, if you're watching, son, just please turn yourself in.
This is exclusive video of Marlin Joseph being walked into the West Palm Police Department.
I heard the shots. I was just getting home. Me and my wife were just coming home. We heard the shots.
How can we even begin to process the heart-wrenching story of Marlin Joseph and his plunge into absolute darkness? Picture the night of December 28, 2017, when a horrifying shooting shook the community. It all went down at Marlin's West Palm Beach, Florida residence where the unthinkable unfolded. Joseph, driven by some unspeakable force, fired upon 36-year-old Kaladaa Crowell, ultimately ending her life with a shot to the head. But it didn't stop there. The nightmare continued as he pursued the woman's 11-year-old daughter, Kyra Inglett, outdoors and mercilessly shot her 5 times. Can we ever truly wrap our heads around the horror of this tragedy? Welcome to the Crimeful Corner. My name is Eli, and in today's video, we are going to dive headfirst into the spine-chilling case of Marlin Joseph, the man responsible for killing Kaladaa Crowell and her young daughter, Kyra Inglett. Kaladaa Crowell happened to be dating Joseph's mom, Robin Denson. Together, Kaladaa, Kyra, Joseph, Robin, and Joseph's 3 kids all shared a roof over their heads. Conflict often arose between 11-year-old Kyra Inglett and Joseph's 8-year-old daughter, and it was one of these heated disputes that pushed Joseph over the edge, resulting in a chilling double homicide on that dreadful day. Police reports reveal that Joseph's daughter sent him a text during her spat with Kyra. By the time he returned home from work, the 2 girls had already made amends and were playing together as if nothing happened. Joseph, a 29-year-old father of 3, squares up against Kyra's mother and tensions skyrocket. They begin to argue, emotions run high, and while their arguments aren't a new phenomenon, no soul could anticipate the tragedy that would unfold. As witnesses recount, Kaladaa Crowell's desperate cries for assistance pierced the air moments before Joseph callously fired his weapon, extinguishing her life within the very walls of their shared home, as his children and mother bore witness. But as awful as that was, the horrors of that day were far from over. The subsequent occurrences would shock jurors to their core and ultimately determine Joseph's destiny in the court of law. As the echoes of her mother's murder reverberated through the air, Kyra raced from the house, engulfed in overwhelming fear. Blinded by rage, Joseph chased Kyra through the neighborhood streets like a madman. Joseph's brother tried to step in and stop the chaos, but it was too late. Joseph had already shot Kyra 5 times, killing her. Joseph managed to flee the scene in Crowell's car, but he was eventually caught. The chilling and relentless chase of the petrified Kyra Inglett solidified in the jurors' minds the malicious intent behind Joseph's actions. His decision to pursue her for blocks and fire his weapon 5 times made it abundantly clear that he was fully conscious and purposeful in his deeds. In February 2019, a jury of 6 men and 6 women reached their verdict, convicting Joseph on 2 counts of first-degree murder. United in their decision, the jury members recommended the ultimate punishment, the death penalty.
Now to more breaking news. A jury has reached a verdict in the sentencing phase for a convicted murderer. A jury has recommended 28-year-old Marlin Joseph be sentenced to death.
Throughout the trial, Joseph's relatives earnestly pleaded for mercy. They put together slideshows portraying Joseph as a dedicated family man and caring father, and invited character witnesses to speak in support of him. Joseph's mother argued that his actions stemmed from mental illness. The trial hit a brief pause while they assessed Joseph's mental competency, but he was ultimately deemed fit to face trial. A psychologist determined not only that Joseph was mentally competent to stand trial, but also that he was fully aware when he carried out the murders. So what do you think? Do you believe that the argument of mental illness should have been taken into greater consideration during his trial? Should there have been multiple psychologists to determine his competency more conclusively? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Palm Beach County Judge Cheryl Caracuzo was unreserved in her remarks when announcing the sentence. Marlin Joseph, you have not only forfeited your right to live among us, but under the law of the state of Florida, you have forfeited your right to live at all. The judge declared, as reported by the Sun Sentinel, in reference to the penalty imposed for both murders.
Marlin Joseph, you have not only forfeited your right to live among us, but under the laws of the state of Florida, you have forfeited your right to live at all.
While Joseph's family sought to attribute his actions to mental illness and lessen his accountability, the judge remained unconvinced. The prosecution maintained that his admirable family life, though genuine, did not justify his horrendous actions. The core argument in this trial wasn't about Joseph's guilt, but rather if the death sentence was an appropriate consequence for his actions. The issue delves into personal beliefs and ethical considerations, as there are those who disapprove of the death penalty regardless of the crime's severity. In the United States, death penalty laws vary by state. In Florida, for example, legislation was passed in January 2000, introducing lethal injection as an alternative execution method. Consequently, Florida carries out executions using either lethal injection or the electric chair in the state prison's execution chamber. In the end, the jury agreed with the prosecution that the shootings were heinous and cruel, as Joseph carried out the cold-blooded murders in a premeditated manner. Although Judge Caracuzo acknowledged that Joseph had love for his family and was loved by them, she did not believe that these factors were enough to lessen his sentence. The defense attorney, Fred Susanek, appealed to the High Court to overturn Joseph's 2020 murder convictions and death sentence, calling for a new trial. It's awful, but it's not worth the death punishment, Susanek argued. However, the court did not share his perspective. Assistant Attorney General Rhonda Geiger highlighted that mere days before the tragic incident, a frustrated Joseph had cautioned that he would grant Kyra one last opportunity to amend her behavior. Joseph secured a firearm just days before the incident on December 28th. After discovering that Kyra and his 8-year-old daughter had gotten into an argument, he carried out his menacing threat, as alleged by Geiger. Joseph confronted Kaladaa and mercilessly shot her several times while she pleaded for her life. He then pursued Kyra outside and fatally shot her. It was virtually an execution-style killing, Geiger said. Joseph became the first individual in Palm Beach County to receive the death sentence since 2002. The Supreme Court emphasized that the death penalty should be reserved for only the most heinous offenses. Factors such as extreme cruelty, as well as cold, calculated, and deliberate actions are all considered. Geiger contended that the murders of Kaladaa and her daughter met these criteria. She noted that Joseph had time to contemplate his actions before shooting Kyra. Despite his brother's efforts to tackle him and prevent the tragedy, Joseph relentlessly chased after Kyra. Geiger remarked, "I think it gets over it when you have this type of premeditation focused towards an 11-year-old youngster." Thank you for tuning into the Crimeful Corner. That was the case of Marlin Joseph. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.